Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend the Welcome to Fanfiction World, back with the amazing fanfiction. This is series A What If Deku Saved the World. The world of heroes is a fantastical one. This world everyone is born with a quirk, a special power that with practice can give them the chance to be a hero. Heroes were worshipped, they were put on a pedestal like no other. The best hero in the world was All Might. A hero who always saved the day with a smile on his face. Everyone looked up to him, villains feared him and kids wanted to become him. One child in particular wanted to grow and be a hero just like him. Izuku Midoriya had wanted to be like his hero. He had watched all of All Might's videos, bought all of his toys and planned to follow in his footsteps. "Sorry kid, it ain't going to happen," said the doctor, as he was pronounced quirkless. He would never be able to manifest a quirk, no matter what. In a world where quirks were everything, being quirkless was a nightmare Izuku would have to deal with now for the rest of his life. "Come on Izuku, I know what would cheer you up," said Inko Midoriya, his mother who was trying her best to cheer up her son. "Come on, let's get you a new toy, or how about ice cream?" Izuku was still too stunned to make a proper response, but in the end he nodded his head. Soon Izuku found himself in a small toy store near Musudafu Park. It was a small shop, but had a wide range of toys. "Izuku, grab whatever toy you want, I need to make a phone call." Izuku mindlessly walked through the aisles, not really looking at any of the toys. He was moving as if he was walking in a dream or a really bad nightmare. He wasn't paying attention to any of his surroundings or anyone. Izuku didn't even notice the old man he walked into. Izuku fell backwards but didn't hit the ground as the old man caught him. "Fow, you okay there, little man?" asked the old man, though the man could clearly see that the boy was not all right. "Hey there dog, what's wrong?" "Nothing, sir," said Izuku, politely bowing at the man. When he did, he noticed that the man had dropped something. "Oh, you dropped this." Izuku handed the toy to the man. "Oh, thanks dog. I was trying to find something similar to give to my grandson." Though when the old man looked, Izuku was already walking away. He could tell Izuku wasn't trying to be rude, but was just too depressed. "Kid." The old man wanted to help, but it wasn't his place to. Though when he looked back at his hand, things changed. "It's glowing, it's chosen that boy." Izuku was so lost in thought that he left the store without telling his mother and just walked across the street into the park. The park was practically abandoned, there were very few people around. Izuku found a bench near the rock gardens and sat down alone. He wanted to cry, but a part of him just couldn't believe that everything he wanted was now impossible. As the tears were about to pour, he heard footsteps approach him. He looked to see the old man walking towards him. "Hey there my dude, you mind if I pop a squat here?" Izuku said nothing, so the old man sat down next to him. "So mind telling me why you're so blue?" Izuku simply said, "Quirkless." The old man then nodded at that. "Ah, that would do it. All you young'uns love your quirks, don'tcha? I don't have a quirk myself, but I do have something. I'll be honest, I ain't one to beat around the bush, but I may have something that can fix your problems." The old man then put something in Izuku's hands. "If it likes you, you can keep it." Izuku just stared at the old man for a moment before looking at his hand. It was a toy made of plastic and metal. "A top, not just any top my dude," said the old man, attaching the top to a device. "A Beyblade. Come on, how about you give it a whirl?" Izuku was still in a daze and simply did as he was asked. Without really thinking about it, he pulled on the rip cord, causing the top to spin and launch off of the launcher. To Izuku's surprise, it kept spinning on the dirt. For a moment he kept his eyes on the top. For a moment he imagined the top spinning in circles if it was on pavement. Then to his surprise again the top began to spin in a circle. Wah! He then imagined it staying in one place and it did. He imagined it going left. It did. Then right. It was mimicking each thought Izuku was making. He could feel a connection with it. Now Izuku's mind was racing at what exactly he was looking at. The old man could see Izuku was connecting the dots. "Hey dog, try aiming it at that rock over there," said the old man pointing at the large rock in the garden. Izuku then imagined it. The top sped up really fast and slammed into the rock at full force, shattering the rock into pieces. "What? Ha 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 ha. That was pretty awesome, my dude," said the old man. "Is this some kind of weapon?" asked Izuku, worried now that he may be breaking the law. "I told you kid it's a Beyblade," said the old man. "And it's yours now." Izuku then stopped the Beyblade, making it slow down enough for him to grab it. To his surprise it was completely unscathed. It clearly wasn't made of high-grade materials and yet it stood up to high speeds and hitting a rock. "What is this, exactly?" "A Beyblade is your partner," said the old man examining the bay in Izuku's hand. "It helps you through thick and thin. It gets stronger the more you get stronger. With it you can perform feats that would be impossible. The possibilities with a Beyblade are endless." Izuku stared down at the top, getting a new hope that he was losing. "I got so many questions, but first who are you?" The old man blinked, realizing he hadn't introduced himself. "Sorry about that, my dude. Guess I got carried away there. The name's Tyson. Tyson Granger at your service." "Hi Mr. Granger. I'm Izuku Midoriya," said Izuku. "My next question is why are you giving this to me? We just met. Easy, that Bay likes you. You think those are regular toys? Nah man. Those be ultra stuff right there. Bay's pick, you spin them, not the other way around. When you handed back to me, it liked ya. So I introduced ya. Simple as that." "Wait. This is alive?" Now Izuku was getting a little skeptical now. "How?" Tyson grinned. "That's for you to find out, my dude." Though Tyson saw Izuku giving him a confusing look. "Don't worry dog, I won't leave ya hanging." As he fished through his pocket. "Here is my business card for the Granger Dojo. Believe or not, I teach kendo like my grandfather before me." Izuku held the card for a moment as he now got a look at the old man, who he could now see was wearing an Hawaiian shirt and wasn't exactly looking like a kendo teacher. "Okay, I have a few other people teach, but the art of the blade does flow through my veins." "Reet," said Izuku, not really believing the funny man. "Anyway, if you got any questions you can call or come by the dojo, but how about we go find your mom?" said Tyson. "Mom?" said Izuku, now realizing he left his mom back at the store. The two ran back to a panicking Inko. ~. 1 week later, Tyson was just enjoying some tea while he watched the sunset. It was nice and relaxing. Only if it would last. The door to the dojo slammed open. "You gave it to a child." Tyson sighed. "I don't remember saying you can come in here." The young man didn't care. He stomped towards Tyson. "Have you gone senile? You just gave away one of the most powerful Beyblades that ever existed. It's not some toy. It could change the world and you gave it to a snot-nosed brat." Tyson put his tea down. As the power of the dragon filled the room. 1. Never talks to me that way, boy. 2. Izuku Midoriya is more than a snot-nosed brat. If you would speak to him and see him spin his bay, you could tell he is a lot more and worthy of that bay." For a moment the young man didn't say anything. "Midoriya. That's the kiddo's name. Midoriya," he said now, remembering something as if it was long forgotten. "Wait, do you?" Tyson then realized he was already gone. I see. Then maybe it was destiny that led you to that bay, Izuku. Izuku has been spending all of his time studying and figuring out his new Beyblade. He has discovered so much, and the more he learned, the more he could feel something inside the Beyblade. He was beginning to understand what Tyson was saying, that there was something living inside the bay. Though the biggest thing that he discovered was all that he could do with it. He was successful kicking trash can around with it, and if he focused really hard he was able to make a large dust devil. He was excited because he could tell he was scratching the surface. If I work hard, I wonder what else I will be able to do. So I gotta keep practicing. Izuku launched his Beyblade, sending it through an obstacle course he made in the alleyway of his apartment building. He was measuring his speed and strength by hitting trash at the end of the alley, but first he had to get through the maze of trash cans. His Bey whizzed through the cans and hit the trash bag with enough force to splatter against the wall. Whoa, that had a lot of power. If I can control this, then I can send the bad guys packing, said Izuku, smiling with hope. Who the fuck did that? Yelled a voice at the end of the alley. A man came into view of the alley, revealing a man in a white suit with a pissed-off look. Izuku could see some garbage slime on his shoulder. Were you the one that did this? Izuku began to shake in fear. Even though Izuku found a new power, he was still a 4-year-old kid. Sorry. The man whistled. Boys, we got a little piece of shit to clean out. Soon 4 more men came into the alley. All of them looked mean and were willing to hurt Izuku. Now brat, do you know how much money this suit cost? Izuku was too scared to say anything. Well, do you? No sir. Figure a brat like you wouldn't know. Brats don't understand what we adults do. You kids just keep playing hero. Well, let's show you what happens when you try to play hero. The men start to get close to Izuku. Izuku pointed his launcher at the thugs. Stay back. I'm warning you. The 5 of them stopped and stared at Izuku for a moment. They all began to chuckle, trying to hold in their laugh, but soon all 5 of them began to bust out laughing uncontrollably. Ha ha ha, look at this kid. He's so scared he's going to fight us with a toy. Stop it. I'm going to pee. Ha ha ha. Izuku's face began to turn red with anger. Just a toy, you say? Then take this. Let it rip. Sending the Bey flying. I got this, guys, said one of them as he put up a small barrier. The Bey collided with the barrier, and for a moment the thugs thought it was going to bounce off, but instead it stayed there, slowly cracking the barrier. Wah! The barrier broke and the Bey hit the thug in the face, laying him flat out on his back. What? Said the remaining thugs. The moment the Bey hit the ground, it began dancing around the thugs at high speeds. The thugs tried to follow it, but it was too fast. Then it bounced, hitting a thug in the foot, tripping him. The leader was getting angry. What are you fools doing? It's the one child. But the top thingy. The leader grabbed a pipe from the ground. It's his quirk, you morons. It must be the cause for this thing's movements. If we attack the kid, then this is all over. Izuku began to sweat as they discovered that he himself was weak. Indeed, brat, said the leader as he raised the pipe and brought it down directly on top of the Beyblade. Oh no, yelled Izuku. Whoa boss, how did you hit it? See, the boy is controlling it. The moment I told you to aim for him was the same moment this top thing slowed down. He then used the pipe as a golf club, sending the Beyblade past Izuku. Izuku watched in horror as his Bey landed motionless on the ground. No, not gonna lie brat, that was impressive, said the leader as the 2 other thugs picked their friends off the ground. Maybe in a few years you might have been able to become something. Though I can tell letting you live now will only be bad for business. Izuku was now shaking. For a moment he thought he could take them out, but now he could see he was nothing more than a scared kid that was way over his head. "Please. How are you begging? Please someone help," yelled Izuku, hoping someone would come. The thugs were grinning while Izuku was crying, but as if a miracle from the heavens, red lightning struck right in front of them. "Quit your whining, kid." Izuku had to rub his eyes not only from the tears but also from being blinded by the light. When he could see, he saw a man wearing a black sleeveless shirt, black pants, his hair was white with a red streak in it, and he looked very angry. "I don't know who you assholes are, but this kid is with me, so beat it before I beat you." The thugs were frozen for a moment, but it did not last. "Well, what are you waiting for? Get him." They all charged the newcomer. Wrong choice. Drago. In another blast of light, Izuku witnessed a red flaming dragon appear and send all of the thugs flying. In a single moment this man had taken all of them out. Izuku couldn't tell how badly hurt they were, but he could tell that they weren't getting up anytime soon. The man wasted no more with them and turned his attention to Izuku. Your name is Midoriya, right?" Yes sir," said Izuku as he grabbed his Beyblade. "Who are you? You don't look like a hero." The man huffed in annoyance. "The name's Ryuga. We need to talk, brat, and I better not hear any more crying out of you." That night changed Izuku's life forever. It opened his eyes to the world and made him train twice as hard to master his Beyblade. "All right boys, it looks like we're home free," said the driver. "You sure, boss? I haven't seen any heroes chasing us, or cop cars at all. How about any of you see anything?" "Nope, nothing on this side. See, we're home free," he said as they cheered before suddenly all the tires on the car popped. "What the?" as the car skidded to a halt. "What was that?" as he and his men got out of the car. They looked around them, seeing no one on the highway but them. "Hey, do you guys hear that?" said one of them as they all tracked the noise to something spinning on the ground. As they went to examine it, it dashed straight at the car, going under it before turning into a tornado, sending the car flying through the air. All of the criminals ducked out of the way from the falling vehicle. The car landed upside down, being completely unusable. It looked like it was thrown off of a cliff. "What the hell was that?" yelled one of them before the top spun around all of them really fast before dashing off the road into the bushes. "Seriously, anyone see what that was?" Sirens then blared as the police closed in on them. "Shit, grab the guns and the money quick." They scrambled for the cash to try and make a quick escape. "Hold it, freeze," said an officer getting out of his vehicle, with more police behind him. "Shut it, ya pig," yelled one of them, pointing his gun at the cop only to find something wrong with his weapon. "My gun is all chewed up." The other criminals all found their guns had been cut by some sort of chainsaw. They all quickly surrendered. A man fired his machine gun into the ceiling. "All right everyone, stay calm and you all get to go home today," said an armed robber as he and his gang were robbing a grocery store. "Now get to the ground, and unless we tell you personally, stay there. We're going to go one by one to get any valuables you may have. If you don't hand them over, we will have a problem, and trust me, you don't want that." Everyone complied, and soon all the robbers had begun to strip everyone of their valuables. Things were going smoothly, no problems, and so far no heroes or police. "Looks like those new toys we bought really do jam emergency signals." Finally, a nice easy operation. Suddenly something broke through the window, moving so fast no one could make out what it was. It bounced through the aisle, hitting every gunman. The gunman wasn't fast enough as the object hit their guns, disabling them, and after hitting the guns began hitting the gunmen in the head hard enough to knock them off their feet. It slammed them into the aisle racks and hit them hard enough to where they could have sworn to see the stars. The leader quickly grabbed a hostage. I don't know what you are, but you better think twice or this lady here is going to get it. Please, I have a son, pleaded Inko as she cried in fear with the gun to her head. The object stopped in front of the man. It's a top. For a moment though he thought he saw the eyes of a demon from the toy, before it disappeared. It then hit him so hard he flew out of the building with every bone in his body broken, but miraculously still alive. Maruko was finally having an eventful day. You dumbass ain't getting away that easily. As she began to speed up her hops after the white van. God damn it, bunny bitches after us, said the one in the back. Relax man, we have a hostage, said the man in the passenger seat as he turned to the girl who was tied up. I've done this a few times, so don't sweat, rookie. If she comes near us, we'll simply put a bullet into this girl's leg. Say what's your name, sweetheart. He ripped the tape off of the girl's mouth. When my dad gets here he's going to kick your ass. The man smirked. That's quite the mouth you got. But tell me something, why the hell do you think we grabbed you? Huh, it's because your daddy is making life very hard for a few friends of ours. Which isn't very nice of him, but as you can see I'm trying to be very nice here, so how about you tell us your name, sweetie, before I become very unnice. Is unnice even a word? Asked the driver. Can it? Keep your eyes on the road and make sure we don't hit anybody, said the man. Well, sweetie. The girl glared at the man hard but couldn't deny some part of her was scared. She gave in. Itsuka Kendo. Hey, she's getting closer, said the guy in the back, seeing Maruko gaining on them. Oh, for the love of, said the man as he leaned back and grabbed Kendo. I need to ask for less green help next time. He opened the back window and pointed his gun at Kendo's head, making a clear sign if Maruko tried anything then Kendo would get hurt. Maruko didn't like it but backed off a little. The man smiled. See, rookie, it's that simple. As Kendo was facing the window she saw something chasing them. The top. The man looked back outside, seeing the infamous toy top gaining on them quick. Shit, that thing's here. The man was now somewhat concerned as he didn't know where the person controlling it was. He didn't know if he would even hear him. Hey, back off if you don't want this girl hurt. You're going to move that ass of a top away from here. The top then disappeared out of sight. The man smiled for a moment, thinking he had done it. Boss, it's up front now, said the driver. The top was now in front of them. The top began to glow green as the ground around it began to turn into sand. Soon the whole road was a giant sand pit. The driver tried to slow the van down, but when it hit the sand pit it began to sink as if it was in water. Maruko landed in front of the sand pit only to watch the last part of the sand pit sink underground. Shit, what happened? Maruko waited for a moment to see if anything was coming out. For a moment she thought they all just bit the dust, when suddenly the men were sent flying out of the sand, landing right in front of her. Okay, I did not see that coming. Wait, where's the hostage? Kendo slowly opened her eyes to see someone was carrying her. She remembered hitting the sand and then someone grabbing her and pulling her from the sand. It was the same person carrying her now. The person then gently put her down on a nearby bench. The last thing Kendo remembered seeing the back of a green hoodie and the top landing in their person's hand as he walked away. The water hose duo were having a terrible day. They managed to run into the nastiest criminal they have ever seen in their hero careers. The man had already killed over 30 people that day and he was thirsty for more blood and guts. Their guts, to be more precise. They had managed though to lead the man to an abandoned train yard. Oh come on, is that all you two can do? Said the villain muscular. That intern I killed had more bite than you two. Come on, show me something. There's no one else here. So go all out, don't hold anything back. The water hose duo couldn't help but feel that this was their end. Mizu, I'm going to distract him. When I do run, I am not leaving you, said Mizu. You're my husband and I am not going to leave you here to die. He already broke one of my legs and we can't make Kota an orphan, he said. So please run. Muscular just looked at them in disappointment. Really? Oog, I thought you two could be something. Oh well, if it makes you feel any better, I'll still kill you if you run. As he jumped at them, he wrapped his fist in his muscle fibers, ready for the kill. Time to die. A flash of light cut between them, cutting Muscular's arm fibers. What was that? They all looked over to see a top spinning on top of a train car. It's the top. Muscular now was pissed. Are you kidding me? I would love another hero to kill, but I get the fucking vigilante that's too much of a coward to even show his face. This is bullshit. At least come out and fight me like a man. No response came. Fine, I'll just break your toy then. The top then moved again. This time it cut Muscular's leg. The villain tried to catch it, but it was too fast. It then cut his shoulder. Then his chest, back, continued to cut Muscular with each strike and began to pick up more and more speed to where it was moving too fast for anyone to see it. It was as if an invisible swordsman was cutting Muscular. This is horse shit, he yelled as he now realized he was losing. This thing keeps cutting my fibers faster than I can make them. At this rate I'll pass out from blood loss. Muscular now reached a new peak of anger. No, I ain't losing to some toy. As he wrapped his fist with fiber and swung his arm in an upcut. Whether it be by luck or skill, he was able to hit the top and send it flying into the sky. Yeah! Screamed Muscular in victory. See that? No way some fancy toy would beat me. Now where was I, as he remembered the water hose duo in front of him. He grinned as he began to approach them. Though he noticed that they weren't paying attention to him. He then looked up behind him, seeing a blue light coming down from the sky. Like a meteorite entering the atmosphere. No way. Muscular then covered his body with as many fibers as possible. The top landed on Muscular in a blue ball of fire with so much force that the dust all around the area kicked up, and for a moment the water hose duo thought a bomb went off. When the dust settled, they could see a massive new crater in the ground with Muscular laying motionless in the center with the top spinning on his chest. The top then jumped off of him and dashed away. The water hose duo could only watch as the top disappeared into the night. Hey, I don't know who you are, but thank you for saving us. You think he heard you? Asked Mizu. I don't know, but I owe them big time. They just saved us and took down the villain. Mizu thought how close they both were to death and how close Kota was to becoming an orphan. Hopefully someday we can return the favor. Okay, said Naomasa, who along with several police officers were in a meeting. We still have no idea what this top thing is, as behind him a picture of the top was shown in super slow-mo. This thing has been doing our job for nearly 10 years now, and we still have no idea what it is, who is controlling it, or even how it works. This is troubling, said Detective Tanuma. Nearly 10 years and still nothing, not even sure what quirk it takes to make this thing work. Well, maybe it's more than one quirk, said Officer Sanza. It does have a variety of powers. The chief of police Kenji Saragame scratched his dog chin. Let's just go over those powers one more time, shall we? Maybe that will help us out. Unlikely, said Tanuma. Naomasa ignored that and continued. Well, even though it appears to be a spinning top, it is capable of doing a lot more than that. We can confirm that it is able to move faster than the average eye can see and is able to cut steel with ease. Other powers include fire, making water appear, earthquakes, turning the ground into sand, making tornadoes, electrical storms. We think it can also mess with gravity, and part the sea. As the projection showing the top saving people from a sinking ship by parting the sea all the way to the coast. We sure this thing ain't a god, said Tanuma. Let's keep the ideas on the ground with reality. What it is in the end matters very little, said the chief. Whoever has been controlling this thing has been making it do acts of vigilantism. That is against the law. We must find this person and arrest them no matter what. Even though he or she has been helping others, we can't ignore the fact that the law is being broken. As police officers, we must fix this. A middle school boy was on his way to school when he saw that there was a crowd blocking his path. Can you believe it? That guy just went full villain like that, said a man. Right out in the open too. Aw man, I'm going to be late for work, said another. Hey, where are the heroes? Asked one girl. Suddenly the giant villain on the railroad tracks began to break the power lines, causing the top part to break off and fall near the crowd. Then a hero named Death Arms came and caught the wreckages so it wouldn't do any more damage. Stand back, citizens, let us handle this, said the hero Backdraft as he made a water fence to cut off the civilians from getting close to the heroes. Several wooden branches seemed to wrap around the villain. Ah, it's Kamui Woods, cheered the fangirls. Disrupting traffic and causing civil unrest, yelled the hero. You are the definition of evil. Prepare for justice. Kamui Woods prepared his signature move, but he was too slow as the Beyblade came crashing down on the villain's head, knocking him out and causing Mt. Lady to fly right past the villain. Mount. Lady stood up confused. Wait, what happened? The top, as Kamui Woods tried to catch it but missed, as it went under him and hopped off the railroad tracks and out of sight from everyone else. The middle school boy from early was now walking through an alley when his Beyblade came and hopped into his hand. This boy was 14-year-old Izuku Midoriya on his way to school. Most people would say that Izuku was a troubled kid, though many would chalk it up to him being quirkless. He was quiet and barely spoke to any of his classmates. In fact, there would be some days where he wouldn't show up to class at all. Though he managed to keep good grades in all of his classes, except PE. He never even showed up for PE. Many knew the fate of a quirkless person wasn't kind, and even his teachers gave up on any future for him. They all saw him as a zombie moving through everyday life. Which is exactly what he wanted them to think. He went to class today though, wearing a school uniform that was slightly bigger than normal so no one would suspect anything. He sat in his chair while reviewing his notes about his project. Just in case he did make it in a strange code so no one but him could read them, or at least no one who didn't understand the constellations. All right class, right now I'm supposed to be handing out career path papers, said the teacher while holding a stack of papers, before throwing them in the air. But why bother when you all want to go into the hero course? As the entire class erupted using their quirks. Yes, I know you all have amazing quirks, but don't use them during class. Understand? Don't lump with these losers, said a blonde spiky hair boy named Bakugo. Out of everyone here I have the top scores. Maybe one of these extras may become a sidekick to a third-rate hero, but I'll be the #1 hero you hear. Oh, shut up, Bakugo. Yeah, just because you have a good quirk doesn't mean you're better than us. Yes I am, he said as he jumped onto his desk. That's why I'm going to UA High. That silences the class for a moment. UA, that's the top school in the country. Yeah, they have a super low acceptance rate. Teach, is that true? The teacher grabbed his clipboard. Yep, Bakugo has only written one school he wants to go to, is UA. him and, as he looked at his board he noticed another name was signed up to try and go to UA. Midoriya. The class was stunned silent for a moment. The silence actually made Izuku look up from his notes. He looked around to see that everyone was slowly looking at him. Who's he? I forgot what's his quirk. I don't know. If I remember right he doesn't have one. What? Yeah, he's the quirkless kid. What the hell are you thinking? Asked Bakugo as he put one foot on the back of his desk to stand over Izuku. Izuku was shocked for a moment. Not out of fear but on the sheer fact that Bakugo spoke to him. He hasn't spoken to him since the beginning of middle school. It's been well over a year since they said a word to each other. Izuku raised an eyebrow. How is me going to UA have anything to do with you? Have you forgotten Deku? I'm the future #1 hero, exclaimed Bakugo for the 100th time. I'm the only one who's going to UA here. Understand? You can see the future cool, said Izuku calmly, completely unfazed by Bakugo's threats. Give me the next lotto numbers. Bakugo was now pissed and was about to slam his fist on Izuku's table. Though to Izuku this was all going in slow motion. His reaction time was leagues better than the hotheads. Izuku kicked his leg out, hitting the chair Bakugo was on, causing him to fall and hit his head on the desk. Everyone in the class heard the slam of Bakugo's head on the desk. To Izuku's surprise, Bakugo didn't scream in pain or even say ouch. He just began to growl before grabbing Izuku's table leg with his left hand. Izuku saw what was coming and quickly grabbed his notebook and closed it before Bakugo tossed aside the desk to throw an explosive right at Izuku. Izuku then using his notebook caught Izuku's attacking arm before putting a sharpie to Bakugo's neck. The class was frozen in time as they saw the quirkless kid of class put a marker to the #1 kid's throat. Bakugo broke out of his stunned state and jumped backwards. How the hell? You won't do that again. Izuku didn't react at all and just grabbed his bag and put his things away. If that's all, teach, then I'm heading home. Bakugo was now ready for a full-blown fight. Hey, where are you going? Get back here. I have something to tell you, Bakugo, said Izuku without turning around. Bakugo was silent as he waited for some declaration for a fight or him saying he was going to outdo him. Before you leave school, you should probably wash your face. Huh? Bakugo was confused as he watched Izuku leave. What? Dude, your face, said a classmate trying not to laugh. Here, said a girl handing him a mirror. When Bago looked at it he saw what Izuku did. He gave him cat whiskers. Bakugo stared at his reflection as rage began to build up inside him. His rage stopped for a moment as he also saw a solid black line across his throat. It was a sign that if Izuku had a real knife he would have killed him. After realizing that, his rage came back and he broke the mirror in his bare hands. My mirror. Izuku walked back to his house to get changed and to begin another one of his walks, which usually consisted of him going to some tall landmark and looking for crime he could launch his bay at. He changed out of his uniform and into his hoodie as he hid his bay and his launcher inside his hoodie so no one could see it. Then grabbed his fingerless gloves and double-checked his gear and bay. Before he left he saw that his mom left a note and was going shopping. Let's hope she doesn't get into trouble again. Izuku has been wandering around Musutafu, looking for some action but found it really boring. Man, I guess I should have just used this day for training. Nothing's happening here. Deku, screamed Bakugo. Izuku looked over to see him and his posse, approaching him. I finally found you. Bakugo, you were able to clean your face, that's good, said Izuku with not a care in the world. Maybe I can use him for practice. Nah, I should just go and see if old man Tyson is willing to spar. You're going to pay for what you did to me, you quirkless asshole, said Bakugo as his cronies had Izuku surrounded. Though none of them moved, not just because of what he did in class, but also because they could see plain as day that there was no fear in his eyes. Only boredom. Maybe I should ask Merci about those part ideas I had, though I should deal with this first. Izuku yawned, which just pissed Bakugo off even more. Look man, I don't care about your ego, so I'm just going to go. Oh hell no, said Bakugo as he went off on one of his rants, but Izuku ignored it as the police became active in the area. Izuku saw several police and heroes arrive in the area. They weren't stopping anyone and it looked like they were looking for something. Though it was clear that it wasn't him. Pay attention when your betters are talking. Hey Bakugo, maybe we should leave it for now. Heroes are watching, said one of his lackeys, which received a glare from him. Though Bakugo quickly realized that he was right as the place became filled with heroes for some reason. Even so, his anger and pride wouldn't let him leave. He needed to send a message to Deku. He grabbed Izuku's collar. We ain't finished yet. Izuku could feel something was wrong here. His instincts were going off on full blasts. An attack was coming. He turned his head, ignoring Bakugo, looking left and right but couldn't see anything, nor from above. That's when he realized too late. Below, the ground below the group of kids erupted by a giant mass of green slime, blew open the street, capturing Izuku, Bakugo and all of his minions. Nobody move or else these kids get it, said the giant sludge villain. All Might in his skinny form finally made his way to the crime scene to see several heroes surrounding the giant sludge villain, none of them able to make a move as he now had hostages. How the hell could I fail this badly? He said as he saw that the villain was using one of the students' blasts to keep the other heroes away. He also saw that in the mass of sludge there were other boys, some conscious and a few that were unconscious. Damn it, I'm pathetic. I have no time left. If only I caught him before he slipped away in the sewers. Though inside the sludge something was happening. Izuku was waking up. For a moment he was wondering why he was stuck in some sort of sludge before he remembered that the ground busted open and one of the rocks hit him in the head, knocking him out. No way am I going out like this. As he could feel himself running out of air. He began to use all of his strength to push himself to the outer edge of the blob he was stuck in. Come on, almost there. Izuku pushed his head out of the villain's membrane and took a massive breath of air. When he did, the villain noticed and tried to push him back in. Hey, all hostages, stay inside me. The sludge stopped when he felt a chill run through him. Izuku was glaring at him, which made him truly feel fear. Go to hell. As Izuku was able to rip his arm free and was able to throw something on the ground. In slow motion the villain saw what he threw and couldn't believe his eyes. That's the top. The second the Beyblade hit the ground it began to spin fast. Tanku. Leone-style Lion Gale Force Wall, a symbol of a tanuki, glowed for a moment. The base spun so fast it generated a massive tornado, sending the slime and all of his hostages flying in the air. Izuku cancelled the tornado before the hostages got too high to survive. Izuku was able to land on his feet as the others just landed around him. He looked to make sure everyone got out. You're going to pay for this. The sludge villain reformed himself. You're the top. You're the guy who's been using that top thing. He was in shock and so was everyone else who was watching. 1. It called a Beyblade and 2. Let me show what it can really do, said Izuku as his Bey landed in front of him. Tanku. Wolborg style. The tanuki symbol glowed for a moment before the air around it became chilly. Hee hee ha ha ha. Novi Raj. Ice shards then appeared around Izuku as his Beyblade sent a wave of ice at the sludge villain. The sludge villain tried to get away, but the ice was too fast and froze him solid, turning him into a giant sludgeicle. Izuku Bey flew back to him. "That will teach you." As he caught it. Though as he did he remembered something. He slowly turned and saw the crowd of people, heroes, police were all watching him, including reporters and cameramen. Ah crap. For nearly 10 years, Japan has had an interesting question, one that haunted a few. For years everyone has seen the top spin around and save the day. A top with powers and abilities that were impossible to explain. This top shows up out of nowhere and saves the day and then disappears without a trace. No one knew who controlled it or why it does what it does. This top has changed so many lives, from the police, heroes that had to deal with its aftermath, the civilians it saved, the truth scientists try to uncover, and most of all the villains that it stopped, and at the moment all of these people were glued to their TVs as they heard the news. The top has been identified. "Guys, get in here right now!" screamed Ragdoll. Soon the rest of the Wild Pussy Cats and the Water Hose Duo and their son rushed into the living room of the Pussy Cats rescue cabin. "Quick, take a look at the TV. What's wrong? Did the TV special get cancelled?" asked Pixie Bob. Soon all of them were watching the news and the Water Hose Duo both dropped their jaws as they saw the news. The only one slightly confused was their son Koda. "Mom, Dad, what's going on?" His parents looked at each other for a moment. Neither of them told him how close they were to death a few months ago. "That boy on TV is the one that saved us. We have to do something to help him out," said Mr. Izumi as he grabbed his phone. "He saved our butts. He doesn't deserve to be locked up in some prison." Mrs. Izumi put a hand on her husband's shoulder. "I completely agree, but what can we do? I don't think you guys have to do much," said Mandalay as they all saw the TV. "That's the boy that saved me," said Momo, staring at the TV screen in the back of her limo. She remembered when she almost died 7 years ago. Her family's mansion was attacked by a group of villains and it ended with the mansion on fire with her stuck inside. She tried to escape but she had inhaled too much smoke and was losing consciousness. Before she did, she saw the roof was collapsing and it was falling towards her before she heard someone yell "Tiger Claw." The collapsing roof was then torn apart by something fast and the next thing she knew someone was carrying her out of the burning building. She later learned that her parents were saved by the vigilante that fights with a top. He was her reason to try and become a hero. To meet him someday. He's my age. As she stared at his photo on the screen. All of the teachers at UA were stunned as they looked at the TV. They were originally in a meeting until all of their phones blew up telling them that the top has been identified. "Hey Aizawa, you were asked to hunt down the top, right?" asked Mike. "Did you ever see him? Is he really a kid?" Aizawa was silent for a moment. "I was asked to look into the top case 6 years ago and we could never figure out who was controlling the thing. My quirk couldn't do anything to it and it was too fast to catch." Power Loader scratched his chin. "Well, who would have guessed a kid was controlling the thing? I wonder if they'll let me take a look at the top." Nezu began to clap. "Everyone, as interesting as this is, we need to get back to the meeting." The heroes weren't the only ones watching the news. Stain sat in his hideout in a trance as he watched the news. He slowly brought his hand up to his cheek as he ran a finger over the long scar on the side of his face. The scar Izuku gave him 4 years ago, back when he went by Steindal, when he was hunting down Yakuza members. "Well, this makes things interesting. You better sharpen the top of yours cause I'm ready for a rematch." Koichi and Kazuho along with the others in the vigilante gang were watching the TV. This doesn't look good for Izuku. Well, shouldn't we do something? Asked Kazuho. Nah, said Soga. He's always been able to get himself out of tight situations. He'll get himself out of this. So relax. Though clearly on all their faces they didn't calm down at all. Look, if you're that worried, just call that number he gave you. Koichi flinched at that. Kazuho on the other hand thought that would be a good idea. Yeah, we can call that one guy. Izuku said we could call him in case of an emergency. Koichi began to scratch his cheek. Well, Izuku said to call him in a life or death emergency. I don't think Kai would take this that well. Koichi then began imagining him facing Kai again. He might actually hurt me this time. That guy is scary. Don't bother, said Knuckleduster as he walked into the warehouse. I just got done talking to Granger. He said everything is under control. We just have to wait and see. Overhaul watched the news with some interests. He hadn't personally run into the top himself, but he has heard stories and the abilities of the top. The abilities are what interested him the most. Chrono, he said, getting the attention of his right-hand man. Once things calm down a little, try and procure the files on that boy. There might be something interesting there. Rikia Yatsubashi or Destro was grinning from ear to ear as he looked at his television in his office. He ended his office meeting early to watch this, and it couldn't give him more joy. He pressed a button on his desk. Miyashita, cancel my meetings today. Something unexpected has just occurred, and if any of the investors ask, this could be big. Yes, sir, said his secretary over the intercom. Destro then pulled out his phone and began to make a phone call. Curious, please tell me you're going to report on the boy. The vigilante that was just revealed, said Chito's Kazuki. Who do you think I am? Of course I'm on this one. This is the biggest thing to happen in all of Japan. The only thing that could possibly top this would be in another world war started right now. Though I'm guessing if you're calling me that means you like this boy. Destro couldn't help but chuckle. It's clear this boy has been using his quirk for a long time. Probably since he got it. You could say he's been liberated for years. Curious knew where he was going. Don't worry, I'm going to get an interview with him, even if it kills me. Shigaraki was glued to his TV as it showed the footage of Izuku freezing the sludge villain. He was studying the kid, analyzing each of his moves. Other than that bay of his, he clearly has some physical skill as well. Sensei, he said, calling out to his mentor. Yes, Tamura, I've heard of the boy as well. In your opinion, what do you think? He's skilled, clearly he's been practicing for years. Though I can't tell what foundation he has, this footage isn't enough to go on. Has he gone through the arrangement? To be honest, I don't know, said his sensei, surprising him. Our records are a bit scattered. 10 years ago, his bay aside, his name is Midoriya. Midoriya. Tamura hummed as he recognized that name. Well, this could be a problem. Indeed, I believe now is the time for you to get your arrangement done. Yes, sensei. The police chief Kenji was able to get his car into the Mustafa precinct. When he got there, he was greeted by fellow officers. Tell me we have him in custody. As he entered the building. Yes, sir, said the officer. He came quietly with us and gave little to no trouble. He's cooperating. Good. They made their way into the back of the building. Then do you have the top in lockdown? The officer was nervous for a moment. No, sir. What? He wouldn't let go of it, sir. Even Death Arms tried to pry his hand open, but he wouldn't budge. Though the boy did say he would cooperate, but he would die before handing over his Beyblade. That's what he calls the top. We were, however, able to secure the device he was using to launch it. Beyblade, huh? The chief of police didn't like the idea that the vigilante has access to his weapon. Did he say anything else? Yes, sir. He made a request that he speak with All Might. He wants to speak to All Might. Yes, but he never gave a reason why. The police chief was silent as they went into the monitoring room, where he saw other officers watching the boy through not only monitors but a one-way glass. Inside the room were several detectives and heroes that were there on the scene when Izuku was brought in. On the other side of the glass he could see Izuku Midoriya cuffed and chained to the interrogation desk. "Ah, Chief, you made it," said Detective Naomasa. "So this is the vigilante who has been active for 10 years. As he looked close at the boy. "He's still a child. Do we have any information on him?" Naomasa took a deep breath before reading off the information. "His name is Izuku Midoriya, age 14. 14. You mean to tell me this boy has been a vigilante since he got his quirk?" "No," said Naomasa a bit quietly as he held a folder. "He's quirkless." "What? That can't be right," said Death Arms. "There's no way that kid is quirkless. He was able to stop me from prying that thing from his hands, and unless he has a strength or grip quirk I could have gotten it." "He's right," said Kamui Wood. "I tried to use my branches to take it and he wouldn't let go. I would have used more force but I was afraid I would hurt him." That's what his records say on his birth certificate, his elementary school and middle school records. He has shown no sign of a quirk factory at any of his doctor visits. Even his own mother, who I just got off the phone with just before you arrived, sir, she said that he doesn't have a quirk at all. Also, I sent a few officers to go pick her up. She should be here shortly." The chief looked at the boy, who was sitting in the chair looking at his Beyblade. "Has anyone gone in and talked to the boy?" "Yep," said Detective Tanuma. "We've had quite a few officers go in there and try talking to him. He hasn't given us anything, other than basic information like his name and birthday. The only things he's asked for is some food and to speak with All Might." "Why All Might? Has he given any hints or reasons to speak with him?" Everyone in the room either shook their heads or said no. "Maybe for publicity," said MT. "Lady, I mean, let's be honest here, the kid's kind of a big deal. He's going to have like 1,000,000 or so interviews when this is over. Maybe he thinks talking to All might help him somehow." Kamui Woods didn't believe this. "You think he did this for publicity? He's been doing this for years and you think it was to become popular?" "Hey, I don't hear you coming up with ideas," she shot back. "Both of you stop. We need to be professional here," said Death Arms. The chief thought for a moment. "The boy is clearly acting logical. I think it would be wise to hit him with the facts first, and when he sees that his options are limited, he should hopefully cooperate and tell us what we would like to know." Naomasa scratched his head. "Okay. So how should we proceed, sir?" Izuku was calmly waiting for the police to do what they do before they finally cave and brought him All Might. In fact, if it wasn't for the cuffs he would have rather enjoyed the peace and quiet. Though it didn't last long. As the police chief, "Hello, AAAAAAHHHH," screamed Izuku, startling everyone. For a moment there was silence as Izuku stared at the chief. "Oh, you're not Hokuto." The chief of police quickly regained himself. "No, I'm not. My name is Kenji Suragame. I'm the chief of police and I've come to have a word with you." "You wouldn't have a relative named Hokuto, do you?" "No, I don't. To be honest, I'm a little surprised. With my dog head, no one has ever mixed me up with another person before." "Does this Hokuto person have a similar dog quirk?" Yeah, pretty much. Who is this Hokuto person?" Izuku was calm now. "Can I get some food? I haven't had anything since lunch." "Young man, do you have any idea how bad of a situation you're in right now?" Seriously, I'll be good with a candy bar right now, you know, just something to hold me over, said Izuku, not answering the questions. The chief of police then snapped his fingers. When he did, several officers came in with several folders labeled top on them. They came and kept staking the folders one after another. These are just the files that are here in this precinct. This is only a fraction of what we have. Do you know what this means? Izuku looked over at the stack of papers. It means that you guys need to go digital. The chief decided to ignore that comment. It means that you've broken the law several times, involving yourself in police investigations, interfering with the work of heroes, and several hundreds more counts of vigilantism. Izuku was silent for a moment as a look of confusion appeared on his face. Oh, okay, I get it. What I believe you're trying to say is, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. The chief said nothing and his dog face remained passive. Young man, I know you're in a difficult situation, but please try to take this seriously. Oh, I am, said Izuku, now relaxing a little. I helped you guys out, saved lives. I mean, if you ask nicely, I'll happily take a job for you guys. A small tick mark appeared on the back of the police chief's head, but he remained calm. That isn't being serious. Izuku nodded a bit. Okay, fine, can I ask a serious question then? Go ahead. Why do we call it tuna fish? The room was silent, so was the side room as they heard the question. I mean, tuna is already a fish. We don't say beef mammal or chicken bird, so why to emphasize the fact that tuna is a fish? The police chief sat there and blinked a few times as his brain tried to reboot from the question that came from the depths of space itself. Finally he came back online and slowly put his hands on the table. Clearly we aren't going to get anywhere like this. As he stood up, well, we would get somewhere if you brought me All Might. The chief stopped for a moment. You want to see All Might that much? Why? Do you believe he will be on your side? No, I need to speak with him. Why? Bring him here. What's it about? How good is your smell? Asked Izuku, clearly trying to change the subject. Can you smell bullshit? Are you always this talkative? Well, for 10 years I've been fighting from a good range, so I never got a chance to talk, and I think I like it. At least tell me why you won't tell us. Easy, I don't trust you, said Izuku as if it was an obvious fact. I don't trust you or anyone else here. You don't trust the police. No, I trust the police. I trust them to protect and serve. I don't trust you, and I definitely don't trust you people with the knowledge I have. Yet you trust All Might. Izuku laughed. No, I don't trust All Might. To be honest, I rather not rely on the guy, but there is one thing about him I trust. His hate. This caused the chief and all those hearing to pause for a moment. The chief looked at the boy to see if he could find any hint that he was screwing with him. His hate. Yes, his hate, said Izuku as he simply stared back at the police chief. The police chief kept looking back at Izuku before leaving the room and heading back to the monitoring room. When he entered, he was met with several confused faces looking at him, including all thinking the same question. What does that mean? The police and heroes began to discuss what to do next. The police chief assured the heroes that they were no longer needed here and should go back to the streets and leave the boy to them. Naomasa then got a message on his phone. Chief, his mother is here. Follow me, he said as he left the room. They walked down the hall until they saw a tall, thin woman with green hair seating in one of the waiting chairs, with a few officers talking with her, trying to keep her calm. Inko Midoriya. As she heard her name, she turned to him. I'm Kenji Saragame, the chief of police. We have some questions we would like you to answer. Inko nodded. Of course, but please tell me, is my son okay? Don't worry, he's just fine. He came willingly, said the chief, calming her down. I'll cut right to the chase, ma'am. Did you know what your son was doing? Inko shook her head. No, he's always been quiet. I had no idea what he'd been up to. I just thought he found a new sport or dojo to hang out at. Hold it, what do you mean by sports and dojos? A few years ago I was held hostage at gunpoint when I was out grocery shopping. Afterwards me and Izuku began to take self-defense classes and began to work out. It helped to get us both in shape, and I thought it helped get his mind off of the things that were happening at school. And what might that be? The bullying, exclaimed Inko. My son is quirkless. All throughout elementary school he was constantly teased and bullied for not having a quirk. He always brushed it off, but I could tell something was wrong and I thought that getting him out of the house was helping. I never expected him to do something so dangerous. Inko's eyes began to fill with tears. I'm so sorry for my son's actions. Can I please see him? Of course, ma'am, said the chief as he thought it might be a good idea. Hopefully if he sees you we might be able to get something out of him. The chief led Inko to the interrogation room where Izuku was. Izuku! Yelled Inko as she hugged her son. Izuku tried to return the hug as he could with his hands still chained to the table. Are you all right? You're not hurt, are you? Izuku smiled. No, mom, I'm fine. Really? Inko then looked her son right in the eye. Izuku, please tell me what's going on. Since when did you have that top and why are you doing all of this? Izuku's smile faltered for a moment. Mom, I owe you of all people an explanation of what's going on. The police chief and everyone in the monitoring room were on the edge of their seats as they thought they were about to hear something about his reason or where he got the top. Mom, right now I need you to please do something. I need to speak with All Might, so could you please go outside and tell the reporters all for one and one for all. Naomasa felt a chill go down his spine. He looked to see that while he may know what's going on, his fellow officers were quite confused. All but the police chief. Chief, get All Might here now. Fortunately All Might was in the building. He was downstairs as Toshinori Yagi pretending to be working for a hero's agency just in case they needed to be called, cause right now there was the infamous vigilante upstairs. Then he got a call from Naomasa saying the kid knew about All for One and that he requested to speak with him. Toshinori then made a quick bathroom trip before heading upstairs as All Might, the #1 hero. When he made it upstairs he was greeted by several police officers and Izuku's mother, Inko, who was also greeting him and apologizing at the same time. Don't worry, miss. Your son has helped a lot of people. I'm sure he's a good kid. Right now he just needs a little help. He made sure to reassure her before stepping into the room where he saw Izuku looking at his bae before looking up and seeing All Might. Hello there, young man. I hear you have something you wanted to tell me. All Might, said Izuku with a smile before for the first time here putting his Beyblade down on the table. They made me wait quite a while. Now we can get moving. As he stood up, before anyone realized what he was doing, Izuku quickly whipped his hands so fast that they made a cracking noise, then his cuffs fell off. All Might then could see that Izuku's thumbs were now wiggling as Izuku dislocated both of his thumbs simultaneously to get the cuffs off. Izuku then slammed both of his thumbs on the table to relocate them again. Okay, let's go. As he grabbed his bae, All Might then realized something else. You could have left whenever you wanted. Yeah, but it would just be easier at this moment to have you come to me, said Izuku as he made his way to the door. When he got to the hallway he was instantly surrounded by the police. Really? You're not going anywhere, said the police chief. You've broken the law, you can't just do whatever you want, young man. Please, he's just a boy, yelled his mother who was being held back by a few officers. This caused Izuku to look down at Tanku and think if he should prove these idiots wrong. Though as if reading his mind, All Might acted. Hold it, all of you. Officers, please let Mrs. Midoriya go. The officers looked at the police chief for a moment. Don't worry, you can leave the boy to me. I'll have him back before too long. The chief thought for a moment. Very well, All Might, but we will be tracking your location. Keep an eye on the boy or we will bring him back ourselves, and you, he said, pointing to Izuku. We know who you are now. You won't be getting away. Izuku gave him a blank look. You might be eating those words, just make sure my mom stays safe. He then turned to his mom. Sorry mom, I promise I will take care of all of this. Izuku, said Inko. Right now a million thoughts were flying in her head as she didn't expect any of this to happen at all today. She had no idea what to say to her son. Part of her wondered if she really knew her son now. So she turned to All Might. Please bring him back, safely. All Might gave her his trademark smile. Of course, there's no need to fear because I'm on the job. Come on All Might, said Izuku, now making his way down the hall. That faster we get this done the better. Though as he did he passed a window giving him a look outside. What the? Outside was a huge crowd of people with a majority of them being reporters and news crews as they waited outside for something. What are all of these people doing here? Hey All Might, you might want to do something about your fans, they look a little restless. The adults stared at the boy for a moment. Detective Tanuma stepped up to Izuku. Hey genius, they're here for you. Izuku looked back with a blank face before his eyes went wide. What? Why would they be here for me? You're the vigilante, kid. Well, I know that. I just didn't think this many people would care. You've stopped like 100 criminals and saved a dozen more. How can you take that so lightly? Asked the detective. I was just doing the right thing. That's all. Said Izuku like it was the most obvious thing in the world. It made the adults realize that this kid really wasn't looking for fame. This just caused All Might to give off a hearty laugh. You know, I'm beginning to like you, young man. All Might then could feel his body give way. Come, let us move or else the press will be all over us. Soon both of them were on the roof as All Might put Izuku on his back as he took to the skies. All Might landed on a building not too far from the police station. So now that we are alone and away from prying eyes and ears, tell me, what do you know about All for One? As All Might got to his knees to let Izuku off. Izuku didn't move and stayed on his back. Dagoba Beach. Go to Dagoba Beach, that's where I left the evidence. It will be easier for you to understand everything if you see it rather than just hear the words from my mouth. These made All Might curious. Very well, hold on tight. It didn't take All Might long to reach the beach. When he landed he was met with the stench of the junkyard that had piled up on the beach. Hiding your evidence among garbage, clever. Izuku jumped off. It's not hidden there, as he began walking to one of the trees in the parking lot of the beach. I wouldn't leave something so important in a bunch of garbage. Someone might find it, as Izuku then to All Might's surprise kicked the tree hard enough to break it open, revealing a small box. Well, that was impressive. Nice kick. So you hid it in a tree? Nope. As he opened the box, showing a strange device All Might didn't recognize. It looked like a wrist brace. This is a spare wrist launcher. Since the police took my main launcher, I'll just use this. He then put the launcher on his wrist and then attached his Beyblade to the bottom of it. Then with a quick swing of his arm the device extended, launching the Beyblade into the air over the ocean. Tanku. Grand Cetus style. Part the ocean. The Beyblade hit the waster and for a moment nothing happened until the water began to part, creating a path to a small sunken boat at the bottom of the ocean. Izuku jumped on the boat and lifted a compartment up, revealing a giant trunk that had a high-tech lock on it. Izuku pulled it out of the boat and it began to beep. 1 second, let me disarm the alarm before the box explodes. It will explode, said All Might, surprised. Izuku pushed a few buttons. Nope, not anymore. As the beeping stopped and he grabbed one handle of the box. Mind helping me with this? We can look through this up at gazebo on the pier. All Might jumped up and landed on the pier. Izuku then called back Tanku. Izuku then opened the trunk, revealing several papers that were completely dry along with a laptop and a dozen flash drives. Izuku pulled out the computer and plugged one of the flash drives in. He then waited patiently as All Might began to go through the files on the computer. All Might began to be shocked at what he was seeing as he looked through the computer to the point he completely forgot about his time limit. He was completely focused on the computer as he began opening file after file, video after video, some of which sickened him to his core. Izuku took the time to clean Tanku and he watched as several police cruisers began to pass the beach. Izuku could tell several heroes were nearby, so were several police officers. Though it mattered little to him as he knew from All Might's face he could cut a good deal from all of this. All Might then shut the laptop. There is some serious evidence here, young man. I have several questions. For starters, why didn't you go to the police for this or find me sooner? I tried that once, said Izuku, remembering the first time he was in a war zone. All for One has spies everywhere. When I tried the first time, people came after me, a friend had to pull me out. After that I went deeper, and when I found out how closely my father was tied to all of this, I decided to try and figure it out on my own. Does your mother know about any of this? Izuku was quiet for a moment before shaking his head. How could I tell her? How could I tell her that my father sold his soul to the devil? The same devil that screwed up your body. How could I? Young Midoriya, do you know where your father is now? Izuku took a deep breath. He's most likely dead. For as long as I could remember he would hardly come home. Only about once or twice a month. That was until about 4 years ago. I haven't seen him since. That's when letters started coming. I put them under a microscope and found out they weren't handwritten. They must have used a good printer to mimic his handwriting. I even recorded his last phone call, which was over 3 years ago, and ran it by Dizzy and Merci, their AI computer programs, and both say that the audio is fake. Izuku looked off in the distance. I've known for years that he's a bad guy. He helped experiment on people, innocent kids, even myself, and I've come to terms with the fact that his deal with All for One has gotten him killed. Though part of me does want to avenge him for that. I guess you could say that was another reason I didn't want to tell anyone. I wanted to get some payback for my old man. I can understand that one. I lost someone to that man. She was like a mother to me. All Might could only stare at the boy in front of him. All Might could only imagine what this boy had to go through, the pain he's had to keep in. The destiny he tried to deny, to be a hero and not the weapon. Young Midoriya, you have been through a lot and I've barely scratched the surface of everything you've done and have here. I promise you protection for you and your mother, but I will need to take this evidence in. I know some people who can be trusted with this. Though I have to tell you, you need to tell your mother about this. She deserves to know what has happened to her husband. She needs to know what you've been through. Izuku wanted to argue against it, but he knew it was time to come clean to his mother. He's known for a while he needed to tell her, but he couldn't do it. He tried to tell her, but every time he just froze. Okay, he said quietly as he nodded slowly. Okay, I'll tell her, but I have a few conditions. Of course, said All Might as he began to pack the folders and laptop back into the trunk. We can discuss them when we get back to the police. We have to get them on board or else you might have problems. We don't need to tell them everything, just enough to get them to understand the severity of the situation. Izuku nodded. I'm curious though, what was your original plan anyway? Easy. Right before the UA entrance exam I would somewhat crash UA to get your attention and make a deal with you and Principal Nezu. It's why I specifically asked for you. You're a big name and with you on my side, I know I can get a better deal than if I just outright gave them the info. You are one terrifying kid, you know that. All Might paused for a moment. Though that plan of yours might be the best solution here. They quickly returned to the police station with a huge crowd still there, though a majority of them now were just news crews and people trying to get answers. Answers they would never fully hear. When they arrived, All Might took the police chief aside and gave him a rundown at what happened and informed him that Izuku did have solid reasons to do what he did. While he did that, Izuku took his mother aside and began the toughest conversation of his life. His mother sat quietly throughout the whole conversation, but he could see the utter horror in her face, especially when Izuku showed her the evidence that his father and her husband were truly gone, and that he wasn't a good person. To say she was in shock would be an absolute understatement. After everyone who needed to know about the situation was caught up to speed, they began to plan for the future. It has been 2 weeks since the biggest revelation of the decade, that the infamous Top, the vigilante that has been breaking hero records, is a 14-year-old kid. A lot has changed since then. For a lot of people this meant something big. To Bakugo this was nothing more than the biggest pain in the ass he has ever felt. He couldn't even imagine anything so enraging than the fact that Deku was the vigilante. For the past 2 weeks he has been hounded by reports asking about Deku and not him. He was supposed to be the star. He was the one who is going to become the next #1 hero, not Deku. Deku was supposed to be quirkless, so how the hell was he able to do all of this? What the hell is that Top? Okay class, everyone take your seats, said the teacher as he walked into the classroom. You all heard the bell, class has started. Chito's Kazuki was not a happy reporter. For 2 weeks now she has been trying to find any and all information on Izuku Midoriya and has found almost nothing. After Izuku was revealed to the world, he and his mother dropped off of the face of the earth. They were clearly under some sort of police protection and no prison or juvenile detention center has received any new residents. So they haven't put him in jail yet. Inko's job hasn't taken her off of their staff and their apartment is still under the Midoriya name. Chito's had just walked out of Izuku's school confirming that he's still registered as a student and has gotten no notice that he has left or transferred schools. She stomped her foot. This makes no sense. Where are they? Her assistant cleared her throat. Ma'am, maybe we should look for a new story in the meantime. We could always just have a freelancer keep an eye at the school. No offense, but when was the last time you did a field report? Chito's had to take a deep breath. It's been a while, she admitted. I just thought when those fools at the station told me they couldn't get anything, that they were just sending amateurs. Though it looks like there really wasn't anything to find. Sigh, looks like I owe them an apology. Look out below, came a booming voice from above them. They both look up in time to see something crash into the ground not too far away from them. We are here. Are you insane? I could have walked to school on my own, said another voice. As the dust settled, the two women could make out two figures, a giant and smaller one. Soon they saw All Might and Izuku Midoriya. I can walk on my own. I don't need you being my personal taxi. Now young Midoriya, you know the deal. From home to school you have to be accompanied by a hero, said All Might. You can't go anywhere else and no crime fighting, understood? Izuku gave All Might an annoyed look. I don't remember agreeing to an escort. No, but your mom did. Chitose was watching the banter with shock and joy as if it was a gift from the heavens. Hold that apology, as she quickly grabbed her phone and set it to record audio. Excuse me, my name is Kai. Sorry, got to go, said Izuku as he quickly ran towards the school. Everyone watched, including those in the building, as Izuku jumped over the school fence and ran towards the building but not to the entrance. Izuku then surprised everyone by jumping up all the way to the third-floor classroom. He landed on the window sill and then jumped over everyone and landed in his seat. Sorry Teach, All Might took too long. That's when his class erupted with questions. Why the hell did I agree to this? Outside, All Might was giving a hearty laugh. That boy truly underestimated the impact he had on the people. Excuse me All Might, if I could please get a small word from you, said Chitose, changing her target. All Might turned to jump away. Sorry dear citizen, but duty calls. So you're endangering a school. This stopped All Might as he turned back to Chitose. The biggest vigilante has just been revealed, and for some reason he's being allowed to attend a public school, all the while villains are chomping at the bits for revenge. Are you okay with that, Mr. All Might? All Might took a closer look and recognized the reporter. I know you, you're that big-time reporter Kazuki, right? Indeed, said Chitose as she held the phone out. With the introductions out of the way, would you mind answering a few questions? If I don't, well, silence is also an answer to some questions, even the ones about the safety of all the people in the school, she said with a grin. All Might could see where she was going. He's had to deal with quite a few reporters in his day, but he could tell she was different. You're good. Chitose knew she had him now. I wouldn't be where I am if I wasn't this good. Now tell me, what is the situation with Izuku Midoriya? I am not at liberty to discuss the details, but I can tell you this. The school is being watched by several heroes, police and me. So if a villain is stupid enough to try anything, they will be arrested before they even come close to the school. Now if you'll excuse me, I must be off, as he jumped away. Chitose's smile never left her face as she put away her phone and walked to her car. Her assistant was worried that she might be angry, but Chitose just raised a hand. This isn't a bad thing. Ma'am, this encounter told us that the boy is still going to school and has somehow cut a deal with the police. This tells us we can come back later for a word with the boy, and it gives us a chance to learn more secrets. She began to hum with excitement. This is making me curious. Izuku was starting to regret his decision to return to school, as he was now hiding from his fellow students as he ate his lunch on the roof of the school. He took out his bay and looked at it. Hey Tanku, do you think I made the right move, coming back here like this? He paused for a moment. Me neither. Maybe Nezu knew something we didn't. So you would like to attend school here? Asked Nezu as he and Izuku were talking in his office. Yes, sir, said Izuku, who was dead tired. I know I've broken a lot of rules, but that doesn't change the fact, I want to be a hero. I want to help people, and well. Nezu sipped his tea. Don't worry, I understand. As a test subject myself, I understand the urge to go against your oppressor's will. I know you want to do the right thing, and do you think you can do the right thing here at UA? Yes, I do, before he yawned. Sorry, are you alright? Izuku shook his head. No, there's been a lot of changes and my mom isn't taking them well. She's been staying bed a lot and barely eating. Nezu was silent as he looked, not at the vigilante but at the boy, whose life has been twisted by the actions of his father, but one who is still trying to do the right thing. Midoriya, do you think working with us will help? Yes, I think it will help get things back on track. Not only with me but hopefully it will allow for enough of a fresh start for me and my mom, while continuing to pursue my dream. Very well, I will help you. Izuku perked up a bit. But it requires you to agree to a few things. One of which was to graduate middle school, without committing any more acts of vigilantism. I thought that the whole not fighting would be a challenge, but dealing with my classmates might be worse. He looked to see Tenku glow a little. Yeah, this can't be that hard. In a blink of an eye this will all be over. That's when he heard the bell ring. Alright, it looks like it's time to go back to class. Midoriya, front and center, yelled. The coach. Well, he really was the PE teacher, but Izuku never bothered to learn his name, but nonetheless he stepped forward. Do you have any idea how many classes you've missed? Yes, or I should say it would be easier to tell you how many times I've shown up for your class, said Izuku, not really caring as he counted down the seconds until school was over. I've only ever shown up for class on the first day of school. That's right, Buttercup, you've only shown up once, screamed the coach. I don't care who or what you are, boy. You show up to class, understand? Yes, because legally I have to be here now. For some reason this just made the coach angrier. Trying to be the funny guy, huh? Well, it just so happens today we are doing a few tests. Griot. Izuku wasn't intimidated in the slightest. Hurry and put you gym cloths on, and prepare for a world of hurt. Izuku left for the locker room. Let this be a lesson for all of you. This is the punishment for thinking you can use your quirks like a delinquent. He said to the class. They could tell he wanted to make some sort of example out of Izuku. That kid may be able to be a vigilante, but he hasn't been doing anything but rely on that top of his. I'll give him his first real workout of his life. He then heard the locker room door open. All right, are you? He and the rest of the class were shocked silent by Izuku and how fit he was. He wasn't bulky at all, but there was almost no fat on his body whatsoever. This caused the class to drop their jaws. All of the girls blushed and some boys. Okay, so what are these tests? Asked Izuku. The coach collected himself. Pull-ups. Izuku was keeping up a solid pace for 10 minutes before the coach told him to stop. Mile run. Izuku broke the record. Push ups. Second verse same as the first. Long jump. Didn't even touch the sand. Bench press. Izuku was easily lifting his own weight, only feeling slightly sweaty when he made it to 1,000. What the hell? How the hell are you doing that? Is that your quirk? Izuku began to wipe the sweat off. No, I just had a crazy teacher. Izuku made it back to Tyson's dojo. Our huff we huff done. I told you his training was intense, said Tyson. An old but very fit Chinese man just grinned. Sorry Izuku, we still have one more part left, said Ray. Live combat. Izuku looked up a little confused. Am I fighting you or Tyson? Oh no, you're not going to fight us, said Ray with a cat-like grin. I sent letters to those 2-bit temples saying that they were pathetic and that you challenge them, they'll be the ones hunting you down today. Izuku slowly turned to Tyson. Yeah, sorry about that, my dude. He's somewhat gotten a little crazy in his old age. An explosion blew away the door. My door. Which one of you insulted the Balan temple? Said a man in purple traditional Chinese garbs. Ray gave Izuku a thumbs up. Have fun, kid. He made sure I was in shape and all those monks he threw at me helped as well, said Izuku as he remembered fighting them off. Though on the plus side they did teach me some of their martial arts. The coach begrudgingly conceded and moved on. The first day back at school ended and Izuku made a beeline to the exit, not wanting to be there any longer than he had to. Though he soon found his path blocked by several annoyances, including but not limited to, Bakugo, heroes, and a legion of reporters. For the love of, they were all trying to get his attention. Izuku tried to move around them but was cut off by Kamui Woods. Dude, I haven't done anything, please move. I have orders to make sure you get home, clarified Kamui. You are going home, right? I would love to, but as you can see the exit is kind of being blocked, said Izuku, pointing to the crowd. So either help me get through or we go around, take your pick. Kamui Woods could see the problem going through the crowd. Okay, fine, as he extended his branches out to Midoriya. I'll carry you out of here. No, before Kamui could say anything, Izuku jumped on his shoulder and jumped into the air before using his grappling hook to swing him over the crowd and onto the roofs. When Kamui caught up to him, he saw Izuku making a phone call. You knew this would happen, didn't you? Oh, hello Midoriya. So how did you like your first day? Said a laughing Nezu. What the hell, man? Said Izuku into the phone. You knew this crap was going to happen. Why? Why am I putting you through this? Well, that's simple, it's a test. A test to see if you can keep that bay of yours in check and to show you just how much of an impact your actions had. Izuku looked down at the crowd. Message received. I still don't see why everyone is freaking out about this. Wow, when we spoke before I thought you were being somewhat modest, but you really didn't think people would care if they found out you were the Vigilant. I didn't think it would be this big. I thought a week of laying low would be enough for things to calm down. This is going to be a pain. Most likely, but remember, spin the bay and no UA. Yeah, I know. No bay outside the practice zones or without the permission of a pro hero, said Izuku before saying goodbye to Nezu. Okay Kamui, you see any paths that are somewhat clear? Kamui then led Izuku, trying to avoid the press. But father, it would be for just a moment, pleaded Momo to her parents. Currently her and her parents were on their way to an early dinner with some foreign business partners that her parents wanted her to meet. Yaoyorozu Mito was getting tired of this. Momo, I know you want to meet the boy who saved your life, but we have other responsibilities, not to mention I think it's a bad idea. Your father's right, Momo, said Ria Yaoyorozu. This boy might have helped a lot of people, but he still broke the law, and from what I heard he acts like a delinquent. I don't think that's someone you should be hanging around. But Momo couldn't finish as the limo suddenly lurched to a sudden stop. What was that? As the family looked outside, they saw a big rock man breaking cars. Where are you, brat? Shouted the rock villain. Come out, I know I saw you. Hold it right there, villain, said Kamui as he landed on a car in front of the rock villain. You've disrupted traffic and are trying to harm the citizens of this fair town. You are the definition of villainy. Surrender now or I will be forced to arrest you. Do you really need to give a speech every time you fight someone? Asked Izuku from the sideline. It's kind of cringy. This earned an angry Kamui, telling him to move away. You, yelled the rock villain as he pointed at Izuku. I've been looking for you. It's time for a rematch. I need to pay you back for what you did to me. I'm good, said Izuku as walked to the side. What? No, fight me. Can't. Blame Woody over there. It's Kamui Wood, and no, I'm not giving you permission to fight, said Kamui Woods as he turned to the villain. Your opponent is me. Screw you. As he threw a car at Kamui, Kamui was able to dodge it with ease and began to use his special move on the rock villain, but the villain grabbed the extending branch and tossed him away. You are nothing but a second-rate hero. Kamui pushed himself up. Why, you aim for the legs, said Izuku calmly, though this got the attention of the villain as he began to throw vending machines at Izuku. Izuku showed some incredible acrobatics skill as he dodged the vending machines. I suggest you hurry, before there is more collateral damage. Kamui Wood dashed back at the villain, aiming at his legs, causing him to trip. By the time the rock villain was picking himself up, Kamui had already wrapped him up in so many branches that he couldn't escape. Justice prevails. Well, that could have gone better. I guess I wait now. As Izuku turned to find a place to sit, when he realized there was a girl staring at him, with stars in her eyes. Hi, you're Izuku Midoriya, said Momo, shaking with excitement. I've wanted to meet you for so long. You saved my life years ago. I did, as Izuku noticed the fancy dress she had on. What are you, that girl from the burning mansion? Yes, my name is Momo Yaoyorozu. Izuku visibly flinched at the name Yaoyorozu. I just wanted to thank you for helping me and my family. Yeah, no problem, said Izuku, trying to think of a way to get out of this. Momo could see this. Is something wrong? Did I say something? No, it's just my luck. Momo, said her father. Brat, yelled the villain as he broke free and rushed Izuku. I'm going to smash you. Izuku was about to grab Momo and jump away when a giant flail came flying and hit the villain, sending him flying. Oh, for the love of, what are you doing here, Junior? Momo followed the chain to the flail's owner, and to her surprise she recognized the person. Robert Jurgen, the third, at your service. Only my father and grandfather call me Junior. Use my real name, said the European noble as he handed his flail to his butler. Honestly, Izuku, why do you insist on calling me Junior? Izuku shrugged. Well, I met your grandfather first, and knowing three people who have the same name can be a bit hectic, but that aside, what are you doing here? Excuse me, said Kamui Woods after wrapping up the villain again. Young man, you can't go around interfering in hero work. Robert took out a brick of cash and tossed it to Kamui Woods. Here, keep the change. Robert, said Izuku as he felt a headache coming. You can't just throw money at your problems all the time. It doesn't work that way. I understand, but for the pointless ones so far it's worked. He clarified as he signaled one of his butlers to deal with the hero. As for why I'm back here in Japan, Enrique invited me. No, why is Enrique here? Yelled Izuku as he heard the name. Why do you have a problem with him again? Asked Robert as his security began to block the crowd. Wait a minute, you don't mean Enrique Concern, do you? Interjected. Momo was surprised at what she was hearing. Of the Concern family. Indeed, Miss Yaoyorozu, though I have to say I'm surprised that you and Izuku know each other, said Robert as another limo rolled up. You would be surprised how much of a small world it is, said a tall blonde man in a fancy red suit coming out of the limo. Those who have done great things often know others of the same value. Mito Yaoyorozu dropped his jaw. Julian Concern. Julian looked to see Mito. Oh, hello Mito, I wasn't expecting to see you till dinner. Mito came and bowed to Julian as a show of respect before shaking his hand. Yes, I wasn't expecting you here either. How do you know this boy? As he gestured to Izuku. Izuku was looking left and right now. Where's your nephew? Julian's face soured as he was wondering that himself. I don't know, he's around here somewhere. Again, I do apologize for his actions last time he was here. That was no way a member of the Concern family should act. It's one of the reasons I was happy he invited Robert. Do you know where Enrique is? Robert shook his head. Sorry, he ran off when we arrived into town. His text said he was going to find his Japanese lady friend. This caused the group to sweat drop, while Julian slowly shook his head. Just keep him away from me and we'll be good, said Izuku. Still, I feel bad with the way he acted. Will you be joining us for dinner? Asked Julian. No, I'm kind of under house arrest and need to be heading home, he said, pointing at Kamui Wood. So I apologize, but I have to go now. Tell your mom I said hi, came a voice behind them. Izuku's face turned to anger as he turned to see Enrique concerned. Tell her I wish she could join us. Enrique, he growled before he noticed something. Enrique had a huge black bruise under his left eye. What happened to your face? Enrique brought out a mirror. Ah, my cheek. This caused both Robert and Izuku to laugh. Julian sighed and then came and pulled his nephew's ear. "OW, uncle, what was that for? What did you do, young man?" Enrique began to sweat. "Oh, nothing, just a speed bump with my new girlfriend." "I'm not your girlfriend," yelled a girl from the crowd. She had orange hair that Izuku saw somewhere. "This creep came out of nowhere and began hitting on me and my friends and wouldn't leave us alone." As she said that, Julian's anger rose as he grabbed Enrique's head and forced him to bow. "I do apologize, miss. On behalf of my nephew, I deeply apologize. He will be punished for this." Izuku kept looking at the girl, which she noticed and froze for a moment. "Do I know you? You look familiar." "You're..." Kendo quickly recognized Izuku. "You saved my life a few years ago. I got kidnapped and you saved me, with a sand pit." "Oh, you're the Kendo girl. Good to see you're doing all right," said Izuku after he remembered the kidnapping incident. "Sorry about the sand, it was the best I could think of." "Oh no, it's fine and I thank you for the save." "No problem," as Izuku checked his phone. He then turned to the Europeans. "Sorry, but I really do need to get going. You know how to contact me." As he said his goodbye to the group before leaving. Though Enrique was the one with the final word. "Tell your mom I say www. Uncle, stop pulling my ear." "Mr. Concern," said Momo, getting his attention and allowing Enrique to free himself. "How do you know him?" "It's a long story." Not too far away, a certain reporter was watching with the biggest grin. "You got that right, every word," said her cameraman. "This keeps getting bigger and bigger," said Chito's. Ma'am, who are those people that Midoriya was talking to?" asked her assistant. "They're a part of the wealthiest families in Europe," she said, shocking her crew. "This boy is our golden ticket." "So how do you know those guys?" asked Kamui Woods. Izuku stopped at the next rooftop. "Oh well, long story short, their grandfathers came to find an old friend who helped them a long time ago and hoped that he could do the same to their grandchildren. I think I helped Jonathan and Olivia. Junior is getting there slowly, and Enrique hits on almost every single girl in sight. I swear I can put a skirt on a tree and he'd try to flirt with it." "Is that what he did with your mother?" "My mother, my aunt, and several girls at my school," said Izuku. "I swear one of these days a girl is going to rip his dick off." "I see." Kamui Woods still had more questions, but he quickly learned asking too many questions is not a good thing with Izuku. Better have him just say something than ask. "Anyway, we need to get you home before the police chief yells at me." Izuku didn't move as he was looking out over the city. "Hey, let's go this way." "Why? There's a purse snatcher." Kamui Woods tried to follow Izuku's sights but could see anything. "Where?" "It's only a few kilometers away." As Izuku took out his grappling hook and took off. "Come on, you have hero work to do." That day Izuku was able to get Kamui Woods to skyrocket in the rankings. Izuku made it to his new apartment. Him and his mom had to move to a more secure building after everything that happened. Lucky Izuku knew some people who owed him some favors and got a good deal. He entered the apartment and saw his mom sitting in the kitchen. "Hey mom, I'm home." "Welcome home," she said quietly as she was looking at a few papers. "Whatcha looking at?" asked Izuku, but he had an idea of what it was. "They're the last police reports they gave me about Hisashi. They searched the building we thought he worked at and found it was empty." There is nothing proving he's still alive. It proves I really am a widow, she said as tears began to leak out. Izuku sat down next to her and gave her a hug. I'm sorry, Mom, I should have told you sooner. Inko shook her head. No, Izuku, it's my fault. What type of wife am I not to know that my own husband is gone? I should have realized that those letters and messages were fake. I should have known something was off about his job. I should have known when he took you on those trips that something was happening. I should have known that something was happening with you, she said as she turned to her son. I didn't even realize that you were going out each night, or on your daily runs. I should have known you were doing something. Mom, none of that is your fault, said Izuku, trying to comfort her. I never told you, and as far as you knew, Dad was just an everyday office worker. That still is no excuse. I have failed as a mother and a wife, said Inko, causing Izuku to be silent for a moment as he tried to think of something to say to cheer her up. But that doesn't mean we can't do better. Izuku looked back to his mother. I want to do better, Izuku, and I want to be a part of your life. So please talk to me. I can't stop you from doing everything, but I want to at least know about it, so I shall make a promise to you right now. I will be a better mother. All I ask is that you please talk to me. I want to know my son. Izuku could feel his eyes beginning to water as well. Okay, Mom, as he was forced to wipe his eyes. I'll tell you everything. For the first time in a long time, the Midoriya household felt that it was on the right track. You're telling me that this boy knows both the Jurgen and Konzern families, said Redestro as he spoke to Chitose. Yep, I have footage and everything, she said as she played the clip. This boy has connections to some very high places. No wonder the police are giving him such leeway. He most likely has some dirt or some sort of inside. Chitose, somehow I want to speak with him as soon as possible. I'll make it happen.